Hello there and welcome. Tonight we're going to drift into a world of fire and stone, where mountains breathe smoke and the earth itself tells stories written in lava and ash. We'll explore the gentle mysteries of volcanoes, those ancient guardians that have shaped our planet for millions of years. Some of what we'll discover will be surprisingly peaceful, like the way volcanic soil nurtures the most beautiful gardens on Earth. Others will be quietly fascinating, like how volcanoes create their own weather systems and paint the sky with colors that seem borrowed from dreams. But each fact will carry you deeper into a landscape where geology becomes poetry, where destruction and creation dance together in the slowest, most magnificent waltz imaginable. This evening, we'll wander through volcanic wonders that might surprise you. Islands born from the seafloor in gentle eruptions that take decades to unfold. Hot springs that bubble with the warmth of the Earth's heart. Volcanic glass so perfect it was once more valuable than gold. You might find yourself drifting towards sleep as we explore these fiery mountains, or simply letting these peaceful revelations flow like warm lava in the background of your thoughts. If you enjoy these videos and would like to join us for more nighttime explorations of our planet's quiet wonders, you can like and subscribe below and feel free to share your thoughts down in the comments. But for now, all you need to do is get comfortable. Let your breathing slow, your mind soften, and allow the ancient rhythm of our restless earth to wash gently over you. Let's begin. Most volcanic eruptions are gentler than a summer rain. When we think of volcanoes, dramatic explosions often come to mind, but the truth is far more peaceful. The majority of volcanic activity on our planet happens quietly, almost tenderly. In Hawaii, for instance, lava flows like thick honey, moving so slowly you could easily walk alongside it. These effusive eruptions can continue for months or even years, painting new landscapes with rivers of molten rock that glow like captured sunset. The lava emerges at temperatures around 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, yet it moves with such deliberate grace that plants and animals have time to relocate. Birds nest in trees just yards from active flows, unbothered by the gentle creation happening nearby. This kind of eruption builds shield volcanoes, bro. Add and graceful mountains that rise from the earth like sleeping giants. Their slopes are so gradual that you might climb one without realizing you're ascending a volcanic peak until you reach the summit and peer into the quietly glowing crater below. Volcanic soil creates the most fertile gardens on Earth. After the fire comes the garden. Volcanic ash and weathered lava create some of the richest, most nurturing soil our planet knows. This magical dirt, called andesol, is like nature's perfect recipe for growth. It holds water beautifully while still draining well, and it's packed with minerals that plants crave. The coffee you might have enjoyed this morning likely grew in volcanic soil. The wine regions of Italy, the rice terraces of Indonesia, the flower fields of Ecuador all owe their abundance to ancient eruptions that left behind this gift of fertility. In Japan, farmers have cultivated volcanic slopes for over 1,000 years, creating landscapes so beautiful they seem painted. The ash that once blocked out the sun becomes the foundation for forests so lush they pulse with more shades of green than the human eye can distinguish. It's a perfect example of how time transforms destruction into creation, how patience turns catastrophe into blessing. Volcanoes create their own weather systems. Around active volcanoes, the air itself becomes alive with unique patterns and phenomena. The heat rising from volcanic vents creates updrafts that can spawn their own clouds, their own rain systems, their own gentle winds. These thermal columns rise thousands of feet into the atmosphere, carrying with them the Earth's breath. In volcanic regions, you might witness volcanic lightning, delicate electrical displays that dance through ash clouds like aurora trapped in gray silk. The interaction between hot volcanic gases and cool atmospheric moisture creates microenvironments where rare plants thrive and unique weather patterns emerge. Some volcanic regions experience their own seasonal rhythms, independent of the surrounding climate. Morning mists rise from warm volcanic lakes, creating ethereal landscapes that seem borrowed from fairy tales. The humidity and warmth around geothermal features support tropical plants even in temperate climates, creating pockets of paradise that exist nowhere else on Earth. Underwater volcanoes are building new islands this very moment. Far beneath the ocean's surface, away from human eyes, the Earth is quietly constructing new land. Submarine volcanoes work like underwater architects, laying foundation after foundation of cooled lava. These deep sea eruptions happen in complete darkness, witnessed only by curious fish and the occasional deep-sea explorer. The pressure of the ocean water changes how these eruptions behave, creating pillow-like formations of lava that stack and build over thousands of years. Eventually, after countless patient eruptions, these underwater mountains grow tall enough to break the surface, creating brand new islands. The process is so gradual that generations of sea creatures make their homes on these rising peaks, unaware they're living on a mountain that's slowly reaching toward the sky. In places like Iceland and the Galapagos, you can actually watch this process happening, witnessing the Earth's creativity in real time as steam rises where hot lava meets cool seawater. Volcanic glass was once more precious than gold. Long before humans learned to work metals, they discovered obsidian. Volcanic glass formed when lava cools so rapidly that crystals don't have time to form. This natural glass is sharper than the finest surgical steel, capable of creating edges only a few molecules thick. Ancient civilizations treasured obsidian, trading it across continents and crafting tools, weapons, and mirrors from its gleaming surface. The Aztecs called it divine stone and believed it held the power of the gods. In some cultures, obsidian mirrors were thought to reveal the future or allow communication with spirits. The process that creates this remarkable material is surprisingly gentle. When lava meets water or cold air suddenly, it doesn't shatter or explode. Instead, it freezes into glass so perfect it seems almost liquid, capturing the moment of cooling like a photograph made of stone. Today, obsidian is still used in the most precise surgical instruments, proving that some of nature's oldest gifts remain unsurpassed by human technology. Hot springs are volcanic hugs from deep within the earth. Scattered around volcanic regions, natural hot springs emerge like gifts from the planet's core. These warm pools are created when groundwater encounters heated rock far below the surface, then rises gently back to daylight carrying minerals and warmth. The temperature is usually perfect for human comfort, rarely too hot or too cold, as if the earth calibrated them specifically for relaxation. The minerals dissolved in these waters, sulfur, silica, and dozens of others, create pools that shimmer with unusual colors and support unique forms of life. Some hot springs host bacteria that exist nowhere else, microorganisms that have adapted to these warm, mineral-rich environments over millions of years. In Iceland, people have been bathing in volcanic hot springs for over 1,000 years, finding that the warm, mineral-rich water soothes both body and spirit. These springs often emerge in the most beautiful settings, surrounded by volcanic rocks, snow-covered peaks, or lush vegetation that thrives in the warm, humid microclimate. Volcanoes can sleep for thousands of years between eruptions. Many of the world's volcanoes are patient sleepers, resting peacefully for centuries or millennia between periods of activity. During these long slumbers, they become mountains like any other, hosting forests, lakes, and entire ecosystems in their craters. Villages are built on their slopes. Generations are born and live full lives without ever seeing their mountain breathe fire. These sleeping giants often show subtle signs of life, warm springs, gentle gas emissions, or ground that stays frost-free in winter. But for the most part, they rest quietly, their magma chambers cooling slowly deep underground. Scientists monitor these dormant volcanoes with sensitive instruments that can detect the slightest changes in temperature, gas emissions, or ground deformation. But for now, they sleep, dreaming perhaps of their next gentle awakening, their next opportunity to reshape the landscape with slow rivers of molten stone. The knowledge that they might awaken adds a quiet dignity to these mountains, a reminder that beneath our feet, the earth maintains its own mysterious schedule. Some volcanic eruptions create natural music. In certain conditions, escaping volcanic gases create hauntingly beautiful sounds. Fumaroles, vents where hot gases escape from underground, can produce tones that range from gentle whistling to deep organ-like notes. The pitch and volume depend on the size of the opening, the pressure of the escaping gas, and the minerals present in the volcanic system. In some volcanic regions, local people have learned to recognize these sounds as indicators of the mountain's mood. A change in the musical notes might signal increased or decreased activity deep below. These volcanic songs can carry for miles on still nights, creating natural symphonies that have inspired human musicians for centuries. Some composers have actually recorded volcanic sounds and incorporated them into their works, finding that the earth itself can be the most haunting instrument of all. The music is often most pronounced during periods of gentle activity when the volcano is neither fully dormant nor actively erupting, but simply breathing, releasing pressure in measured musical exhalations. Volcanic lakes are among the most beautiful waters on Earth. When volcanic craters fill with water over time, they create some of our planet's most stunning lakes. These volcanic lakes often display extraordinary colors, from brilliant turquoise to deep emerald green, depending on the minerals dissolved in the water and the depth of the lake. The water in these crater lakes is often remarkably clear, filtered by volcanic rock and fed by pure rainwater or underground springs. Some volcanic lakes are warm year-round, heated by geothermal activity far below the surface. Fish and other aquatic life adapt to these unique environments, sometimes evolving into species found nowhere else on Earth. The lakes often sit like jewels in the crown of ancient volcanoes, their surfaces reflecting sky and surrounding peaks in perfect mirror images. During winter, while the surrounding landscape might be covered in snow, these lakes often remain unfrozen, their warm waters creating islands of liquid blue in white winter wonderlands. The combination of mineral-rich water, unique ecosystems, and breathtaking beauty makes Volcanic Lake some of nature's most peaceful and restorative places. Lava tubes create natural underground cathedrals. As lava flows down volcanic slopes, the outer surface often cools and hardens while the molten interior continues flowing. When the eruption ends and the remaining lava drains away, it leaves behind hollow tubes that can stretch for miles underground. These lava tubes become natural tunnels, some large enough to drive a car through, others intimate enough to require crawling. The walls of these tubes are smooth and sculpted, shaped by the flowing lava into organic curves and patterns that seem almost deliberately artistic. Many lava tubes maintain constant, comfortable temperatures year-round, creating underground environments that stay cool in summer and warm in winter. Some cultures have used these tubes as natural shelters for thousands of years, finding them perfect refuges from storms or extreme weather. The acoustics in lava tubes are often remarkable, with even whispered words carrying clearly from one end to the other. Exploring these underground passages feels like walking through the Earth's own circulatory system, following the paths that molten rock once traveled in its journey from deep underground to the surface above. Pumice is the only rock that floats on water. This remarkable volcanic creation forms during explosive eruptions when gas-filled lava is ejected into the air and cools rapidly. The result is a rock so filled with tiny air bubbles that it's lighter than water itself. Entire islands of floating pumice have been spotted drifting across oceans, sometimes traveling thousands of miles from their volcanic birthplace. These floating rock rafts can be so large they're visible from space, carrying marine life to new destinations and creating temporary stepping stones across vast stretches of open water. The pumice eventually becomes waterlogged and sinks, but not before serving as an unlikely vessel for ocean travelers. In your garden, pumice makes an excellent soil additive, helping plants breathe by creating air pockets in heavy soil. Ancient Romans discovered that pumice mixed with lime creates concrete so durable that their buildings still stand today, 2,000 years later. The softness of pumice also makes it perfect for gentle exfoliation, smoothing rough skin with the same material that once flowed as molten rock from deep within the earth. Volcanic ash can travel completely around the world. When powerful eruptions send ash high into the atmosphere, these microscopic particles begin an incredible journey. Carried by high-altitude winds, volcanic ash can circle the entire globe, creating spectacular sunsets thousands of miles from the original eruption. The 1815 eruption of Mount Tambora in Indonesia sent ash so high and far that it caused red sunsets across Europe and North America for months afterward. These tiny glass particles, each one a miniature sculpture created by volcanic forces, drift through the atmosphere like cosmic dust. They eventually settle back to Earth, sometimes falling as gentle gray snow in places that have never seen a volcano. The ash enriches soil wherever it lands, carrying minerals from deep within the Earth to distant continents. Aircraft pilots learn to recognize the distinctive orange and pink sunsets that indicate volcanic ash in the atmosphere, while photographers treasure these moments when the entire sky becomes a canvas, painted by distant mountains they may never see. Some volcanoes glow blue in the darkness. In a few extraordinary places on Earth, volcanic gases burn with an ethereal blue flame that seems almost supernatural. This phenomenon occurs when sulfur-rich gases emerge from volcanic vents and ignite in contact with air. The blue flames dance and flicker like ghostly spirits, creating an otherworldly light show that has inspired countless legends and myths. The most famous of these blue fire volcanoes is Kawah Ijen in Indonesia. where miners work by the light of these natural flames, harvesting sulfur that forms bright yellow crystals around the vents. The blue flames are most visible in darkness, transforming the volcanic landscape into something that seems more like an alien world than a place on Earth. The sulfur gases that create this phenomenon also form acidic lakes that glow turquoise during the day, creating a landscape where reality seems to blend with fantasy. These blue flames burn continuously, patient torches that have illuminated volcanic nights for thousands of years, witnessed only by the most adventurous travelers and the hardy workers who make their living from the volcano's gifts. Geysers are volcanic clocks that keep perfect time. These natural fountains operate on surprisingly regular schedules, erupting with clockwork precision that has amazed observers for centuries. Old Faithful in Yellowstone erupts approximately every 90 minutes, give or take a few minutes, while other geysers maintain their own unique rhythms. The mechanism behind this reliability is elegantly simple. Underground, water slowly fills chambers carved in volcanic rock, heated by magma far below. When the water reaches the perfect temperature and pressure, it erupts skyward in a column of steam and scalding water. Then the cycle begins anew. Some geysers have maintained their schedules for hundreds of years, becoming natural timepieces that indigenous peoples used to mark important events and seasons. The predictability of these eruptions creates a sense of comfort and continuity in an otherwise chaotic natural world. Watching a geyser erupt feels like witnessing the Earth's own breathing, a regular inhalation and exhalation of heated water and steam that connects the surface world with the fiery depths below. Volcanic minerals create the most vibrant gemstones. Deep within volcanic systems, extreme heat and pressure transform ordinary minerals into extraordinary jewels. Diamonds form in the Earth's mantle and are carried to the surface by volcanic eruptions, traveling from depths of over 100 miles in a journey that takes millions of years. Opals are created when silica-rich volcanic water seeps into rock cracks and slowly evaporates, leaving behind stones that capture and reflect light like frozen rainbows. Peridot, the gem of volcanic origin, forms in magma and is sometimes found in meteorites, making it one of the few gemstones that exists both on Earth and in space. These volcanic gems carry within their crystalline structure the story of their fiery birth, preserving moments of intense heat and pressure in forms of stunning beauty. The green of peridot mirrors the color of fresh volcanic glass, while the play of light in opal reflects the same mineral processes that create the colorful hot springs around volcanic vents. Each volcanic gemstone is a time capsule, holding within its faceted surface the memory of the Earth's most creative and transformative moments. Volcanic islands create their own unique ecosystems. When new islands emerge from volcanic activity, they become natural laboratories for evolution and adaptation. Plants and animals that arrive on these isolated volcanic outposts often develop into species found nowhere else on Earth. The Galapagos Islands, born from volcanic activity, host creatures that inspired Darwin's theory of evolution. Each island's unique volcanic landscape, from black sand beaches to sulfur-tinged pools, creates different environmental pressures that shape life in remarkable ways. Seeds arrive carried by wind, ocean currents, or migrating birds, then adapt to volcanic soils and microclimates unlike anywhere else on the planet. Over thousands of years, these islands become showcases of evolution in action, with endemic species that exist only in these volcanic gardens. The isolation created by vast expanses of ocean, combined with the unique conditions of volcanic terrain, allows nature to experiment with new forms and behaviors. These island ecosystems demonstrate how volcanic destruction ultimately leads to incredible biological creativity, transforming barren rock into thriving communities of life, and nowhere else in the universe. Ancient volcanic glass holds perfectly preserved secrets. Obsidian and other volcanic glasses create natural archives that preserve evidence of ancient climates, ecosystems, and even human activities with remarkable clarity. When plants, insects, or other organic materials are trapped in rapidly cooling lava, they're preserved like insects in amber, maintaining their structure for millions of years. These volcanic time capsules allow scientists to study ancient forests, understand past climate conditions, and trace the evolution of life on Earth. Some volcanic glass contains tiny bubbles of ancient atmosphere, preserving samples of air from thousands or millions of years ago. These atmospheric inclusions provide direct evidence of how our planet's atmosphere has changed over geological time. Archaeologists study obsidian tools to trace ancient trade routes, as each volcanic source has a unique chemical fingerprint that reveals where the obsidian was formed. The volcanic glass itself becomes a library of Earth's history, with each sample telling stories of ancient eruptions, prehistoric ecosystems, and the slow dance of geological change that has shaped our world over countless millennia. Volcanic caves maintain perfect temperatures year-round. These natural underground spaces, carved by flowing lava or formed by gas bubbles and cooling magma, create environments with remarkably stable temperatures. Whether it's the blazing heat of summer or the bitter cold of winter above ground, volcanic caves typically maintain temperatures between 50 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit throughout the year. This thermal stability occurs because the Earth's crust acts as insulation, protecting the cave environment from surface temperature fluctuations. Many cultures throughout history have recognized these caves as perfect natural refrigerators, using them to store food and preserve perishables long before artificial refrigeration existed. The constant temperature and humidity in volcanic caves also create ideal conditions for aging cheese, wine, and other foods that benefit from stable, cool environments. Some volcanic caves host unique ecosystems adapted to these unchanging conditions, with specialized bacteria, insects, and other life forms that have evolved in isolation from the surface world. These underground chambers offer a glimpse into what life might be like in perfectly controlled environments, spaces where temperature never varies and time seems to move at its own unhurried pace. Volcanic snow falls in places that never freeze. In the strangest meteorological phenomenon our planet offers, some volcanoes create their own snowfall from volcanic ash, mixed with water vapor high in the atmosphere. This volcanic snow drifts down like gray powder, settling on tropical landscapes that have never experienced winter. The particles are warm when they first condense, creating the surreal experience of hot snow that melts upon contact with skin. In Ecuador and Indonesia, people have witnessed this otherworldly precipitation falling on palm trees and flowering vines, dusting jungle canopies with what looks like winter but feels like summer rain. The volcanic snow often carries a faint sulfur scent, a reminder of its fiery origins deep within the earth. Children in these tropical regions sometimes experience snow for the first and only time during volcanic events. building snowmen from material that originated as molten rock miles beneath their feet. This phenomenon creates temporary winter wonderlands in places where snow should be impossible, transforming familiar landscapes into scenes that seem borrowed from dreams, where seasons blend and the impossible becomes beautifully real. Some volcanic rocks sing in the wind. Certain types of volcanic formations create natural wind instruments that produce hauntingly beautiful music when air passes through them at just the right speed and angle. These singing rocks, formed when gas bubbles create specific hole patterns in cooling lava, act like enormous stone flutes scattered across volcanic landscapes. The pitch and harmony depend on the size and arrangement of the holes, the direction of the wind, and the atmospheric pressure. In Iceland and Hawaii, hikers often pause to listen to these geological orchestras, finding that different wind speeds create different melodies from the same rock formations. The music is most pronounced during gentle breezes, when the air moves steadily enough to create sustained notes, but not so forcefully that it overwhelms the delicate acoustics. Local legends often attribute these sounds to spirits or ancient gods, and it's easy to understand why. The ethereal tones seem to emerge from the very soul of the mountain itself, creating natural symphonies that have played the same mysterious compositions for thousands of years, witnessed only by passing clouds and the occasional wandering traveler. Volcanic beaches shimmer with colors that shouldn't exist in nature. Black sand beaches, created from basaltic lava, absorb and radiate heat differently than regular sand, staying warm long after sunset and creating natural heated blankets along the shoreline. But volcanic beaches offer more than just black sand. In Hawaii, green sand beaches sparkle with olivine crystals, creating shores that look like scattered emeralds. Red volcanic beaches glow like crushed rubies, while some rare beaches display purple, silver, or even rainbow-colored sand, depending on the minerals present in the original lava flow. These colorful shores often support unique marine ecosystems, as the mineral-rich environment creates perfect conditions for coral growth and supports fish species that thrive in the slightly warmer, mineral-enhanced waters. Sea turtles seem particularly drawn to volcanic beaches, perhaps because the warm sand provides ideal conditions for nesting. Swimming in the waters around these colored shores feels like entering a natural gemstone mine, where every wave brings new mineral treasures to light, and the very sand beneath your feet tells the story of ancient eruptions transformed into coastal paradise. Lava creates natural sculptures more perfect than human art. As molten rock flows and cools, it forms shapes that seem too deliberate and beautiful to be accidental. Pahoho lava, with its smooth, ropey texture, creates natural sculptures that look like frozen waterfalls, sleeping animals, or abstract art installations. The cooling process happens slowly enough that surface tension and gravity work together to create forms of mathematical perfection. Some lava flows create natural spirals that mirror the golden ratio found in seashells and galaxies. Others form delicate curtains of stone that seem too fragile to have emerged from such violent origins. In volcanic regions, entire galleries of these natural sculptures stretch for miles, each piece unique and irreplaceable. The sculptures change over time as weathering softens their edges and plants begin to colonize their surfaces, but the basic forms remain as testament to the Earth's artistic capabilities. Many cultures have recognized certain lava formations as sacred sites. seeing in their perfect curves and impossible balance the hand of divine creativity working through geological processes. Volcanic vents support life in the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean. Miles beneath the surface, where sunlight has never penetrated and pressure would crush surface dwellers instantly, volcanic vents create oases of life in the deep sea desert. These hydrothermal vents spew superheated mineral-rich water that supports entire ecosystems based not on photosynthesis but on chemosynthesis. Bacteria around these vents convert chemicals from the Earth's interior into energy, forming the base of food webs that include giant tube worms, ghostly white crabs, and fish species found nowhere else on Earth. The water around these vents can reach temperatures of several hundred degrees, yet just inches away. The deep ocean maintains its near-freezing temperature, creating dramatic thermal boundaries where different forms of life meet and interact. These deep-sea volcanic oases may represent some of the oldest forms of life on Earth, ecosystems that have thrived in the planet's depths for billions of years. Scientists believe similar environments might exist on other worlds, making these volcanic vents potential windows into what life might look like on distant planets, with underground oceans heated by volcanic activity. Dormant volcanoes become gardens of extraordinary beauty. When volcanoes enter their sleeping phases, their craters and slopes transform into some of Earth's most spectacular botanical displays. The rich volcanic soil, combined with the unique microclimate created by the crater's shape, often supports plant communities found nowhere else. Some volcanic craters fill with mist that creates perfect conditions for cloud forests, where every surface drips with moisture and supports elaborate displays of mosses, ferns, and orchids. The walls of these crater gardens often display distinct zones of vegetation, with different plants adapted to the varying conditions from the crater rim to its floor. In Costa Rica and Ecuador, extinct volcanic craters have become natural conservatories where rare and endemic species thrive in perfect isolation. These crater gardens often maintain their own weather systems, with morning mists rising from the depths and afternoon rains falling only within the crater walls. Visitors describe these spaces as feeling like secret worlds, hidden paradises where time moves differently and every breath carries the scent of flowers that grow nowhere else on Earth. Volcanic lightning creates the most spectacular light shows on Earth. During explosive eruptions, the friction between ash particles in the volcanic plume generates electrical charges that discharge as lightning bolts dancing through the ash clouds. This volcanic lightning often displays colors rarely seen in regular thunderstorms, with bolts that flash purple, green, and brilliant white against the dark volcanic ash. The lightning can last for hours, creating sustained light shows that illuminate the volcanic landscape in stroboscopic bursts. These electrical displays often occur in perfect silence from a distance, as the sound of thunder is overwhelmed by the roar of the eruption itself. The combination of glowing lava, dark ash clouds, and electric lightning creates scenes that seem more like alien worlds than earthly landscapes. Photographers brave enough to witness these events capture images that look almost supernatural, with lightning bolts seeming to emerge from the very heart of the mountain. The phenomenon occurs because volcanic ash particles become electrically charged through friction as they tumble and collide within the eruption column, creating the perfect conditions for one of nature's most dramatic electrical displays. Some volcanic pools maintain perfect bathing temperatures for centuries. In volcanic regions around the world, Natural hot pools maintain temperatures between 90 and 104 degrees Fahrenheit for hundreds or even thousands of years. These natural spas are created when underground water systems encounter heated rock at just the right depth to create perfect bathing conditions. The mineral content of these pools often includes sulfur, silica, and other elements that are believed to have therapeutic properties for skin and joints. In Iceland, Japan, and New Zealand, people have been bathing in these volcanic pools for generations, finding that the warm, mineral-rich water provides both physical and emotional healing. The pools often exist in stunning natural settings, surrounded by volcanic rock formations, steaming vents, and sometimes even snow-covered landscapes that create dramatic contrasts between the warm water and cold air. Some of these pools support unique microorganisms that create rainbow-colored bacterial mats around the edges, adding natural artwork to the already beautiful settings. The consistent temperature and mineral content of these pools create perfect conditions for relaxation and reflection. Natural sanctuaries where the Earth's inner warmth reaches the surface in the gentlest possible way. Volcanic gases create their own aurora-like phenomena. In certain atmospheric conditions, volcanic gases can interact with sunlight and create light displays that resemble the northern lights, but occur much closer to the ground. These volcanic auroras happen when sulfur dioxide and other gases from eruptions scatter and reflect sunlight in unusual ways, creating sheets of colored light that dance across the sky. The colors tend toward blues and purples rather than the greens and reds of traditional auroras, and they often appear as halos around volcanic peaks or as shimmering veils that seem to emerge directly from crater rims. These phenomena are most visible during dawn or dusk, when the angle of sunlight creates optimal conditions for the gas-light interaction. Unlike true auroras, which occur in the upper atmosphere, these volcanic light shows happen close enough to the ground that observers can sometimes smell the volcanic gases that create them. The displays can last for hours during major eruptions, creating ethereal light shows that transform volcanic landscapes into scenes of otherworldly beauty. Local populations often interpret these lights as spiritual phenomena, seeing in them the breath of the mountain made visible against the sky. Hidden volcanic chambers create underground wonderlands. Beneath many volcanic regions lie vast chambers carved by ancient lava flows, creating natural underground cathedrals with ceilings that arch hundreds of feet overhead. These spaces often remain hidden for centuries. Their existence, revealed only when surface collapses, create openings to the world below. When explorers first enter these chambers, they often find environments that seem frozen in time, with delicate formations created by dripping, mineral-rich water and walls that still show the flow patterns of ancient lava. Some chambers contain underground lakes fed by volcanic springs, their waters reflecting the cave walls in perfect mirror images. The acoustics in these spaces can be extraordinary, with even whispered words carrying unclearly across vast distances. Many chambers support unique ecosystems adapted to the constant temperature and humidity, including blind cave fish, translucent insects, and bacterial colonies that create their own bioluminescent lighting. These underground volcanic cathedrals represent some of the most pristine natural spaces on Earth, environments that have remained virtually unchanged for thousands of years, waiting patiently in the darkness to reveal their secrets to the first explorers brave enough to venture into the Earth's hidden heart. Volcanic ash preserves moments in perfect detail for millions of years. When volcanic eruptions bury landscapes rapidly, they create natural time capsules that preserve extraordinary details of ancient life. Entire forests have been found buried in volcanic ash, with leaves still attached to branches, insect wings still showing delicate vein patterns, and flower petals still displaying their original colors. These volcanic preservations often capture moments of daily life from millions of years ago, showing us exactly what ancient ecosystems looked like in their final moments before being gently buried by falling ash. Unlike other forms of fossilization, volcanic preservation maintains three-dimensional structure and often preserves soft tissues that would normally decay within days. Scientists have found volcanic preserved butterflies with wing patterns still visible, ancient mammals with fur intact, and prehistoric plants with cellular structure so well preserved that individual cell walls can be studied under microscopes. These volcanic archives provide windows into ancient worlds that are more detailed and complete than any other form of geological record, allowing us to walk through prehistoric landscapes that were perfectly preserved by the same volcanic forces that initially seemed so destructive. Volcanic crystals grow in geometric perfection that rivals the finest jewelry. Deep within volcanic systems, minerals have time and space to form crystals of extraordinary beauty and mathematical precision. Quartz crystals growing in volcanic cavities often display perfect hexagonal symmetry, their faces meeting at angles that seem too precise to occur naturally. These volcanic crystal gardens can take thousands of years to develop, with each crystal growing molecule by molecule in the darkness of underground chambers. Amethyst, citrine, and smoky quartz all form in volcanic environments, their colors determined by trace minerals present during their slow formation. Some volcanic crystals grow to enormous sizes, with specimens weighing hundreds of pounds found in caves carved by ancient lava flows. The clarity achieved by these volcanic crystals often surpasses anything created in laboratories, as the slow cooling and stable conditions deep underground allow for perfect molecular arrangement. Native peoples often considered these crystal caves sacred spaces, believing that the geometric perfection of the formations held spiritual significance. The crystals continue growing imperceptibly even today, adding new layers with the patience that spans human lifetimes, creating treasures that capture and reflect light in ways that seem to hold fragments of the Earth's inner fire. Some volcanoes create natural bridges that span vast canyons. As lava flows encounter obstacles like rivers or valleys, it sometimes cools and hardens while still flowing underneath, creating natural bridges of incredible strength and beauty. These volcanic arches can span hundreds of feet, supporting their own weight for thousands of years, while wind and water gradually sculpt their surfaces into forms of architectural elegance. The most famous of these formations become pilgrimage sites, places where people come to witness the Earth's ability to create structures that seem designed by master engineers. Some volcanic bridges are wide enough to support entire ecosystems on their tops, with trees growing from soil that accumulated in cracks over centuries. Birds nest in the bridge walls, and unique plant communities adapt to the specific conditions of these elevated volcanic environments. The views from these natural bridges often encompass vast volcanic landscapes, offering perspectives that reveal the larger patterns of how lava flows shaped entire regions. Walking across a volcanic bridge feels like traversing a monument built by geological forces, a reminder that the Earth itself is the greatest architect of all. Volcanic mud creates natural healing treatments that have soothed humans for millennia. In regions where volcanic heat encounters groundwater and mineral-rich soil, natural mud baths form with therapeutic properties that modern spas try to replicate but never quite match. These volcanic muds contain dozens of minerals in perfect natural proportions, creating treatments that can soothe skin conditions, reduce inflammation, and promote deep relaxation. The mud maintains ideal temperatures naturally, heated by geothermal activity far below the surface, and its consistency is perfectly calibrated by thousands of years of natural mixing. Ancient civilizations built healing centers around these volcanic mud pools, recognizing their power to restore both physical and spiritual well-being. The minerals in volcanic mud are so fine that they penetrate deeply into skin, while the warmth promotes circulation and muscle relaxation. Some volcanic mud pools support beneficial bacteria that may have additional healing properties, creating natural probiotic treatments that work from the outside in. The experience of immersing in warm volcanic mud while surrounded by steaming vents and mineral-stained rocks connects modern visitors with an ancient form of earth-based healing that predates recorded history. Floating volcanic islands drift across oceans like geological nomads. When underwater eruptions create new land, these volcanic islands sometimes begin epic journeys across ocean basins, carried by tectonic forces at speeds so slow they're measured in inches per year. The Hawaiian island chain represents this process perfectly, with each island born from the same volcanic hotspot, but carried northwest by the Pacific Plate's movement. As these islands travel, they evolve and change, their volcanic activity gradually diminishing as they move away from their source. Eventually, they become extinct volcanic peaks that continue their slow migration across the ocean, collecting coral reefs, developing unique ecosystems, and serving as stepping stones for species colonizing new territories. Some ancient volcanic islands have traveled thousands of miles from their birthplaces, carrying with them geological evidence of their origins and the story of their long journey. The seamounts and atolls scattered across the Pacific represent the end stages of this process, where volcanic islands have been worn down by millions of years of erosion while continuing their patient drift across the ocean floor. Volcanic gases create natural perfumes that have inspired human fragrance makers for centuries. The complex chemistry of volcanic emissions produces aromatic compounds that range from the clean, sharp scent of sulfur springs to the sweet, flowery fragrances that emerge from certain mineral deposits. In volcanic regions, the air itself carries unique scent signatures that local people learn to read like weather reports, understanding that different odors indicate different types of volcanic activity. Some volcanic vents produce gases with surprisingly pleasant aromas, reminiscent of herbs, flowers, or even vanilla-like sweetness. These natural fragrances have inspired perfume makers who visit volcanic regions to study the complex chemical signatures and attempt to recreate them in bottles. The scents change with atmospheric conditions, seasons, and volcanic activity levels, creating an ever-changing olfactory landscape that reflects the mountain's current mood. Indigenous cultures often incorporated these volcanic scents into ceremonies and rituals, burning volcanic minerals as incense or using volcanic spring water in purification rites. The Natural Chemistry Laboratory of Volcanic Systems continues to produce aromatic compounds that commercial fragrance makers can only dream of replicating. Volcanic caves preserve ancient ice that tells climate stories spanning thousands of years. In some high-altitude volcanic regions, lava tube caves act as natural freezers, maintaining temperatures cold enough to preserve ice formations that accumulate over centuries. These volcanic ice caves contain layer upon layer of frozen history, with each year's ice preserving atmospheric conditions, volcanic ash deposits, and even ancient pollen that tells the story of changing climates and ecosystems. Scientists studying these ice formations can read them like tree rings, understanding how volcanic activity, climate patterns, and atmospheric composition have changed over thousands of years. The ice often displays beautiful blue and white striations where different years' accumulations created distinct layers, turning these caves into natural art galleries where the walls tell stories of ancient winters and long-ago volcanic events. Some of these ice formations have remained frozen for over 10,000 years, making them among the oldest continuously preserved climate records on Earth. The combination of volcanic protection and high-altitude cold creates perfect conditions for this natural preservation, offering scientists windows into ancient worlds that would otherwise be lost to time. Volcanic minerals create natural stained glass windows in rock formations. When mineral-rich volcanic fluids flow through cracks in cooling lava, they often deposit layers of different colored minerals that create natural stained glass effects. These formations display brilliant reds, blues, greens, and purples as light passes through thin sections of translucent volcanic minerals. Some volcanic regions contain entire cliff faces that seem to glow with internal light, where agate, jasper, and other semi-precious minerals form natural windows in the rock. The patterns created by these mineral deposits often display geometric beauty that rivals human artwork, with swirling designs, perfect circles, and intricate lacework patterns that seem too deliberate to be natural. When sunlight strikes these formations at the right angle, they can illuminate entire volcanic landscapes with colored light, creating natural light shows that change throughout the day as the sun moves across the sky. Some cultures built temples and sacred sites around these naturally illuminated rock formations, interpreting the colored light as divine messages or spiritual doorways. The minerals continue to grow slowly over time, adding new layers and colors to these natural masterpieces with each passing century. Underground volcanic rivers flow for hundreds of miles in complete darkness. Beneath many volcanic regions, systems of lava tubes connect to form underground river networks, where heated water flows through perfectly carved channels. These subterranean waterways maintain constant temperatures and flow rates, creating aquatic highways that connect distant parts of volcanic systems. The water in these underground rivers often emerges miles away as hot springs or geysers, having traveled through the Earth's interior on journeys that can take months or years. Some of these underground rivers are large enough to boat through, creating opportunities for underground explorations that feel like journeys through the Earth's circulatory system. The walls of these volcanic river channels are often lined with mineral deposits that create natural decoration in patterns that seem deliberately artistic. Fish and other aquatic life have adapted to these underground environments, evolving unique characteristics like enhanced sensory systems to navigate in complete darkness. The sound of flowing water echoes through these underground passages, creating natural music that is played continuously for thousands of years, heard only by the occasional explorer brave enough to venture into these hidden waterways. Volcanic valleys create their own weather systems that can predict eruptions. The unique topography of volcanic calderas and valleys often creates microclimates that behave differently from surrounding regions, with wind patterns, cloud formations, and temperature variations that reflect underground volcanic activity. Local weather watchers learn to read these signs, understanding that changes in mist patterns, wind direction, or temperature gradients can indicate shifting conditions deep within the volcanic system. Some volcanic valleys consistently produce specific types of clouds or fog banks that form in the same locations day after day, creating natural barometers that reflect the mountain's internal state. The interaction between volcanic heat and local topography often creates spectacular meteorological phenomena, including rotating wind systems, temperature inversions, and cloud formations that seem to emerge directly from the Earth itself. These volcanic weather systems can extend their influence far beyond the immediate volcanic region, affecting rainfall patterns, wind systems, and temperature variations across entire landscapes. Indigenous peoples often developed sophisticated weather prediction systems based on these volcanic climate indicators, passing down through generations the knowledge of how to read the mountain's breath and the behavior of clouds and wind. Volcanic pearls form in the most unlikely places on Earth. In certain volcanic hot springs and acidic crater lakes, unique conditions create spherical formations that resemble pearls, but are formed entirely by geological processes. These volcanic pearls develop when mineral-rich water deposits layer upon layer of silica or other minerals around tiny nuclei, creating perfectly round objects with lustrous surfaces. The pearls can range in size from tiny beads to objects larger than golf balls, each one a unique creation that took years or decades to form. The colors of volcanic pearls reflect the minerals present in their formation environment, ranging from pure white to deep blues, greens, and even metallic sheens that seem to glow with inner light. Some volcanic pools contain thousands of these natural pearls, creating underwater treasure troves that sparkle in the filtered light of volcanic springs. The formation process continues today in active volcanic environments, where new pearls slowly grow while older ones continue to add layers, creating geological jewelry that rivals anything found in the ocean. These terrestrial pearls represent one of the Earth's most elegant responses to extreme conditions, transforming harsh volcanic chemistry into objects of perfect beauty. Ancient volcanic eruptions created natural amphitheaters with perfect acoustics. Some of the world's most acoustically perfect performance spaces were carved not by human architects, but by volcanic forces that shaped rock formations into natural sound chambers. These volcanic amphitheaters often display the same mathematical principles that modern acoustic engineers use to design concert halls, with curved walls that focus and amplify sound in precisely the right ways. The rock surfaces, polished by thousands of years of wind and weather, create ideal reflecting surfaces that carry whispered words to the furthest seats while eliminating unwanted echoes. Some of these natural performance spaces have been used by human cultures for thousands of years, hosting ceremonies, storytelling sessions, and musical performances that take advantage of the perfect natural acoustics. The volcanic origin of these spaces often adds an additional mystical quality as performers feel they're being amplified not just by good acoustics, but by the voice of the mountain itself. Modern musicians and speakers who perform in these volcanic amphitheaters often report that the experience feels supernatural, as if the earth itself is participating in the performance and helping to carry their voices to every listener. Volcanic obsidian mirrors were believed to hold magical properties across many cultures. The perfectly smooth black surfaces created when volcanic glass cools rapidly have fascinated humans since prehistoric times, leading to the creation of mirrors that were thought to possess supernatural powers. Aztec priests used obsidian mirrors in divination ceremonies, believing they could see the future or communicate with spirits through the dark, reflective surfaces. The mirrors were often surrounded by elaborate decorations and treated as sacred objects that connected the earthly world with divine realms. European visitors to volcanic regions often reported being unsettled by obsidian mirrors, describing them as seeming to hold depth and movement that regular mirrors lacked. The optical properties of volcanic glass do create unique visual effects, as the material can be polished to smoothness that exceeds modern manufacturing capabilities, while maintaining a depth of black that seems to absorb light rather than simply reflecting it. Some cultures believed that souls could become trapped in obsidian mirrors, while others thought the mirrors could reveal hidden truths about the viewer's character or destiny. The combination of volcanic origin and perfect reflectivity made these mirrors objects of both practical use and mystical reverence, bridging the gap between geology and spirituality in ways that continue to fascinate people today. Lava fountains create temporary waterfalls of liquid fire that can last for days. During certain types of eruptions, volcanic vents produce sustained streams of molten lava that arc through the air like fiery waterfalls, creating some of the most spectacular displays in nature. These lava fountains can reach heights of several hundred feet while maintaining their flow for hours or even days, creating temporary features that seem to defy gravity as they send rivers of fire cascading through the air. The sight of a lava fountain against a dark sky creates an almost hypnotic display, with the molten rock tracing perfect parabolic curves as it follows the laws of physics, while glowing with the inner fire of the earth. These fountains often create their own weather systems, with the intense heat generating updrafts that can spawn small tornadoes or create localized rainfall when the hot air meets cooler atmospheric layers. The sound of a lava fountain is equally impressive, ranging from gentle bubbling during quiet phases to roaring jets during peak activity. Photographers and volcanologists brave enough to witness these displays often describe them as life-changing experiences, moments when the boundary between the solid earth and the liquid fire beneath becomes beautifully, terrifyingly visible. Some volcanic lakes change colors with the seasons like natural mood rings. Crater lakes in volcanic regions often display dramatic color changes throughout the year, shifting from brilliant turquoise to deep emerald, blood red, or even bright yellow depending on seasonal variations in mineral content, water temperature, and microscopic life. These color changes can happen gradually over months or dramatically over days, creating lakes that seem alive with their own emotional rhythms. The colors often reflect the chemical composition of gases seeping into the lake from underground volcanic sources, with different minerals creating different spectral signatures that change as volcanic activity levels fluctuate. Some lakes display multiple colors simultaneously with distinct zones of difference, and hues that create natural tie-dye effects across their surfaces. Local cultures often interpret these color changes as communications from the mountain spirit, developing folklore and seasonal ceremonies based on the lake's changing moods. Scientists study these color variations as indicators of underground volcanic activity, using the lakes as natural monitoring systems that provide early warning signs of changes in the volcanic system. The lakes serve as both beautiful natural phenomena and important scientific instruments, their shifting colors writing a visible diary of the volcanic forces working deep beneath their surfaces. Volcanic sand dunes migrate across landscapes carrying stories of ancient eruptions. In some volcanic regions, winds pick up volcanic ash and sand to create dune systems that move slowly across the landscape, carrying with them the geological history of multiple eruptions. These volcanic dunes often display striking color variations, with layers of different colored sand telling the story of different eruptions separated by years, decades, or centuries. As the dunes migrate, they bury and reveal different parts of the landscape, creating a constantly changing environment where ancient lava flows, fossil beds, and archaeological sites appear and disappear with the movement of volcanic sand. The dunes themselves become archives of volcanic history, with each layer preserving evidence of past eruptions, climate conditions, and even biological activity that occurred during different periods. Some volcanic dunes support unique plant communities adapted to the mineral-rich, shifting substrate, creating ecosystems that exist nowhere else on Earth. The sound of wind moving across volcanic sand creates distinctive musical tones, different from those produced by regular sand dunes, adding an auditory dimension to these geological phenomena. These migrating volcanic dunes represent the Earth's continuing creativity, constantly reshaping landscapes and preserving memories of fiery events that occurred long before human history began. Volcanic vents create natural saunas that have healed communities for thousands of years. In volcanic regions around the world, steam emerges from the earth at temperatures perfect for human comfort, creating natural healing chambers that indigenous peoples have used for ceremonial and medicinal purposes since time immemorial. These earth-heated saunas maintain consistent temperatures and humidity levels, with mineral-rich steam that carries therapeutic compounds directly from the planet's depths. The experience of sitting in these natural steam chambers, surrounded by volcanic rock and breathing air infused with healing minerals, connects modern visitors with ancient wellness traditions that recognize the earth itself as a source of restoration. Some volcanic steam vents create enclosed spaces where the heated air circulates naturally, maintaining perfect conditions for deep relaxation and detoxification. The minerals carried in volcanic steam often include sulfur, silica, and trace elements that can benefit respiratory systems and skin health. These natural saunas often exist in the most beautiful settings, where visitors can emerge from their healing sessions to find themselves surrounded by volcanic gardens, steaming pools, and landscapes that seem designed for contemplation and renewal. Ancient lava flows created natural highways that connected distant civilizations. When massive volcanic eruptions spread lava across vast distances, the cooling rock often formed relatively flat, durable surfaces that became natural roadways for early human travelers. These volcanic highways could extend for hundreds of miles, providing smooth pathways through otherwise difficult terrain and connecting communities that might never have encountered each other without these geological bridges. Archaeological evidence shows that many ancient trade routes followed these lava pathways with valuable goods, ideas, and cultural practices spreading along roads that were literally paved by volcanic fire. The durability of these natural highways often exceeded that of human-made roads, with some ancient lava flows still providing smooth travel surfaces thousands of years after their formation. Plants and animals also use these volcanic corridors as migration routes, creating biological highways that allowed species to spread across continents and colonize new territories. The relatively flat surfaces and good drainage of solidified lava flows made them ideal for both foot travel and later for wheeled vehicles, turning destructive volcanic events into infrastructure that would benefit countless generations. Volcanic tremors create natural massage therapies in hot spring regions. The gentle vibrations produced by underground volcanic activity often transmit through the Earth's crust to create subtle, rhythmic movements in natural hot springs and pools. These volcanic microtremors produce a natural massage effect that enhances the already therapeutic properties of mineral-rich thermal waters. Visitors to these seismically active hot springs often report that the gentle vibrations help release muscle tension and promote deeper relaxation than would be possible in still water alone. The frequency of these volcanic vibrations often falls within ranges that are particularly soothing to human nervous systems, creating a resonance effect that some describe as feeling like being gently rocked by the earth itself. Local communities have long recognized the enhanced therapeutic value of hot springs that experience these gentle volcanic tremors, often building healing centers and wellness retreats around springs that offer this natural massage therapy. The vibrations are typically too subtle to be felt on land, but become noticeable when the human body is immersed in water, where the liquid medium transmits the Earth's gentle movements directly to muscles and bones. Parasitic volcanic cones create miniature mountain ranges on larger peaks. Sometimes small secondary eruptions occur on the flanks of larger volcanoes, creating perfectly formed miniature volcanoes that seem like children gathered around their parent mountain. These parasitic cones often display all the features of full-size volcanoes, but in reduced scale, complete with their own craters, lava flows, and ash deposits. The formation of these satellite volcanoes creates complex landscapes where multiple peaks of different ages and sizes create natural sculpture gardens of volcanic architecture. Some volcanic regions host dozens of these smaller cones, creating mountain ranges that look like carefully planned geological communities, where each peak has its own character and history. The parasitic cones often become perfect hiking destinations, offering manageable climbs to volcanic summits with spectacular views of their larger parent mountains. These mini volcanoes sometimes remain active long after their parent volcanoes have gone dormant, creating situations where tiny peaks continue to shape landscapes, while the giant mountains around them sleep peacefully. Volcanic soil creates wine that tastes like liquid sunshine captured in stone. The unique mineral composition of volcanic soils imparts distinctive flavors to grapes grown on volcanic slopes, creating wines with characteristics that cannot be replicated anywhere else on Earth. The porous nature of volcanic soil provides perfect drainage while retaining just enough moisture to support healthy vine growth. And the rich mineral content adds complexity to wine flavors that sommeliers describe in almost mystical terms. Volcanic wines often display mineral notes that seem to carry the essence of the mountains where the grapes grew, with flavors that evoke stone, earth, and the subtle smokiness of ancient fires. Some of the world's most prized wines come from volcanic regions. where the combination of mineral-rich soil, unique microclimates, and the stress placed on vines by challenging growing conditions creates grapes with concentrated flavors and exceptional character. The thermal properties of volcanic soil also help regulate vine temperature, keeping roots warm during cool seasons and providing natural temperature moderation that extends growing seasons and improves grape quality. These volcanic vineyards often exist on slopes so steep that harvest must be done by hand, creating wines that literally embody the dedication of workers who tend vines on the sides of sleeping mountains. Some volcanoes breathe with tidal rhythms that mirror the ocean's pulse. In coastal volcanic regions, the gravitational pull of ocean tides can actually influence volcanic activity in measurable ways, creating a subtle connection between the Earth's fire and the sea's rhythm. Scientists have observed that some volcanic systems show slight increases in gas emissions, ground deformation, and even minor seismic activity that correlates with tidal cycles. This volcanic breathing happens because the massive weight of tidal water can create tiny changes in pressure on the Earth's crust, which in turn affects the movement of magma and gases in underground chambers. The effect is usually too subtle to notice without sensitive instruments, but it reveals a profound connection between celestial mechanics, oceanic forces, and volcanic systems. Some coastal communities have traditional knowledge about these tidal influences on volcanic activity passed down through generations of careful observation of their local mountains. The discovery of these tidal influences on volcanoes has opened new areas of research into how astronomical forces might affect geological processes, suggesting that volcanic activity is influenced by cycles that extend far beyond on our planet's surface. Volcanic caves house underground forests that never see sunlight. In the humid, temperature-controlled environments of some lava tube systems, plant communities have adapted to grow in complete darkness, creating ethereal underground forests that seem to exist in a world apart from surface ecosystems. These cave forests often consist of ferns, mosses, and other plants that have evolved to photosynthesize using the minimal light that filters in from cave openings, or that have adapted to live entirely on organic matter that washes in from the surface. The constant temperature and humidity in volcanic caves create perfect growing conditions for these specialized plant communities, which often include species found nowhere else on Earth. Some underground volcanic forests extend for miles through interconnected cave systems, creating vast subterranean gardens that exist in perpetual twilight. The silence in these underground forests is profound, broken only by the gentle sound of dripping water and the whisper of air moving through cave passages. Exploring these hidden ecosystems feels like discovering secret gardens that the Earth keeps hidden beneath its surface. Places where life has found ways to flourish even in conditions that seem impossible for plant growth. Floating pumice rafts become traveling ecosystems crossing entire oceans. When explosive volcanic eruptions create massive amounts of pumice that floats on seawater, these rock rafts become unlikely vehicles for marine life to travel vast distances across ocean basins. The pumice provides a stable platform where algae, barnacles, coral polyps, and other marine organisms can establish communities that drift with ocean currents for months or years. These floating volcanic ecosystems can transport species across oceans that would otherwise be impossible barriers to biological dispersal, creating opportunities for colonization of distant islands and coastlines. Scientists tracking pumice rafts from major eruptions have found them carrying living coral colonies, tropical fish, and other marine life thousands of miles from their volcanic origins. The pumice gradually becomes waterlogged and sinks, but not before delivering its biological passengers to new territories where they may establish thriving populations. Some of the biodiversity found on remote volcanic islands may have arrived on these natural rafts, carried by volcanic rocks that served as unlikely ships in one of nature's most remarkable dispersal mechanisms. Volcanic lightning creates electromagnetic phenomena that affect radio communications worldwide. The electrical activity generated during major volcanic eruptions can create electromagnetic pulses strong enough to disrupt radio communications across vast distances, sometimes affecting electronic systems on the opposite side of the planet. These volcanic electromagnetic events happen because the massive electrical discharges in eruption columns generate radio waves that can propagate through the Earth's atmosphere and ionosphere in ways similar to natural lightning, but often much more powerful. Ham radio operators have learned to recognize the distinctive signatures of volcanic lightning in their receivers, often detecting eruptions occurring thousands of miles away through the electromagnetic disturbances they create. The electromagnetic effects of volcanic eruptions can last for days or weeks after the visible eruption ends, as charged particles continue to interact with the Earth's magnetic field and atmosphere. Some scientists study these electromagnetic signatures as a way to monitor volcanic activity in remote locations where direct observation is difficult or dangerous. Ancient volcanic calderas create natural amphitheaters where whispers carry for miles. The bowl-shaped depressions left by massive volcanic collapses often possess acoustic properties that allow sounds to travel with surprising clarity across distances that would normally make conversation impossible. These natural amphitheaters were formed when underground magma chambers emptied during eruptions, causing the overlying rock to collapse and create perfectly shaped sound chambers. Some volcanic calderas can carry a whispered conversation from one rim to another across distances of several miles, creating natural telephone systems that indigenous peoples may have used for long-distance communication. The acoustic properties result from the mathematical curves created by volcanic collapse, which etch focus and reflect sound waves in ways that amplify voices while filtering out background noise. Modern acoustic engineers study these volcanic amphitheaters to understand the principles behind their remarkable sound transmission capabilities. The experience of speaking across a volcanic caldera and having your voice clearly heard miles away creates an almost mystical sense of connection with both the landscape and any listeners on the distant rim. Volcanic glass napping created the sharpest tools humans have ever made. The obsidian produced by rapid volcanic cooling can be shaped into cutting edges that are sharper than modern surgical scalpels, with some prehistoric tools displaying edges only a few molecules thick. Master craftspeople who work with volcanic glass can create blades so sharp that they can slice through materials that would dull metal knives, yet they accomplish this using techniques that are thousands of years old. The napping process requires understanding the unique properties of volcanic glass, including how it fractures in predictable patterns that can be controlled by skilled tool makers. Some of the most beautiful prehistoric tools ever discovered were made from volcanic obsidian, with surfaces polished to error, brightness, and edges honed to impossible sharpness. Modern surgeons have experimented with obsidian scalpels for certain procedures, finding that the volcanic glass creates cleaner cuts that heal faster than those made with steel instruments. The art of volcanic glass napping connects modern practitioners with ancient traditions while demonstrating that some of nature's materials remain unparalleled by human technology. Underground volcanic chambers preserve perfect microclimates for thousands of years. Deep within volcanic systems, sealed chambers often maintain atmospheric conditions that have remained unchanged for millennia, creating time capsules of ancient air that preserve evidence of past climates and atmospheric compositions. These chambers can maintain constant temperature, humidity, and gas concentrations that reflect conditions from when they were first sealed by cooling lava. Scientists studying these preserved environments have found evidence of ancient atmospheric conditions, including concentrations of gases that help reconstruct past climates and understand how volcanic activity has influenced global atmospheric chemistry over geological time. Some chambers contain air bubbles trapped in volcanic glass that preserve actual samples of ancient atmosphere, allowing direct analysis of air from thousands of years ago. The stability of these underground environments also creates perfect conditions for preserving organic materials, archaeological artifacts, and even delicate mineral formations that would quickly deteriorate in surface conditions. These volcanic time capsules provide unique opportunities to study environmental conditions from periods before human record-keeping began. Volcanic sand creates beaches that sing when walked upon. The unique composition and grain structure of certain volcanic sands produce musical tones when disturbed by footsteps, creating beaches that literally sing as visitors walk along their shores. This singing sand phenomenon occurs when volcanic particles of specific sizes and shapes rub against each other in just the right way, producing audible frequencies that can range from low humming to high-pitched singing sounds. The musical properties of volcanic sand depend on factors including grain size, mineral composition, moisture content, and the speed of movement across the surface. Some volcanic beaches produce different musical notes depending on how fast or heavily someone walks across them, creating opportunities for visitors to literally play the beach like a natural musical instrument. The songs produced by volcanic sand are often most pronounced during certain weather conditions and times of day when humidity and temperature are optimal for sound production. Local cultures have often incorporated these singing beaches into their folklore and ceremonies, seeing the musical sands as voices of the volcanic spirits that created them. Lava tubes create natural refrigeration systems that preserve food without electricity. The constant cool temperatures maintained in many lava tube systems make them perfect natural refrigerators that have been used by human communities for food storage throughout history. These volcanic cold storage systems maintain temperatures between 50 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, providing ideal conditions for preserving meat, dairy products, vegetables, and other perishables without any artificial cooling. The natural air circulation in lava tubes also helps prevent spoilage by maintaining proper humidity levels and air movement around stored foods. Some communities have used volcanic caves for food storage for hundreds of years, developing sophisticated systems for organizing and accessing preserved foods stored in the Earth's natural refrigerators. The mineral-rich environment of lava tubes can also impart subtle flavors to stored foods, similar to how cave aging affects cheeses and wines. These natural preservation systems continue to be used in some parts of the world, providing sustainable food storage that requires no external energy source and leaves no environmental footprint. volcanic crystals create natural prisms that paint rainbow patterns across cave walls. When sunlight enters volcanic caves and encounters crystal formations, it often splits into spectacular displays of colored light that dance across the cave walls like natural stained glass windows. These crystal prisms can create rainbow effects that change throughout the day as the angle of sunlight shifts, transforming dark, volcanic caves into luminous galleries of colored light. The specific minerals present in different volcanic systems create unique color palettes, with some caves displaying brilliant blues and greens while others show warm reds and golds. The crystal formations themselves continue growing slowly over time, gradually changing the light patterns and creating ever-evolving displays of natural artistry. Some volcanic caves with particularly spectacular crystal formations have become pilgrimage sites, where visitors come to witness the interplay of geology, optics, and natural beauty. The combination of volcanic creation and optical physics creates light shows that seem too beautiful and complex to be accidental, inspiring wonder and contemplation in everyone fortunate enough to witness them. Ancient lava flows created natural bridges that connect mountain peaks across vast valleys. Some of the most spectacular volcanic bridges span enormous canyons and valleys, creating natural highways between peaks that would otherwise be separated by impassable terrain. These lava bridges formed when extremely large volcanic eruptions sent flows across existing valleys, with the lava cooling and solidifying while suspended across the gaps. The resulting bridges can be hundreds of feet long and strong enough to support the weight of entire ecosystems that develop on their surfaces over time. Some volcanic bridges become critical wildlife corridors, allowing animals to move between mountain ranges and maintaining genetic diversity in populations that would otherwise be isolated. The engineering properties of these natural bridges often exceed anything humans could construct, with volcanic rock forming arches and spans that have supported their own weight for thousands of years. Walking across a volcanic bridge provides breathtaking views while offering a unique perspective on the power of volcanic forces to reshape entire landscapes. Hydrothermal vents create underwater gardens of mineral flowers that bloom in eternal darkness. Deep beneath the ocean surface, where volcanic activity heats seawater to extreme temperatures, magnificent formations grow like underwater flowers made entirely of minerals. These hydrothermal gardens consist of delicate structures built from dissolved minerals that precipitate out of superheated water as it cools upon contact with frigid, deep seawater. The mineral formations often display incredible beauty, with colors ranging from brilliant whites and golds to deep blues and purples, creating underwater landscapes that seem more like alien worlds than earthly environments. These deep-sea volcanic gardens support unique ecosystems based entirely on chemical energy rather than sunlight, with CR, features that have evolved to thrive in conditions that would be lethal to most surface life. The mineral flowers continue growing as long as hydrothermal activity continues, creating ever-changing sculptures that evolve over decades or centuries in the perpetual darkness of the ocean depths. Scientists exploring these underwater volcanic gardens often describe feeling like they've discovered secret worlds, where geology and biology merge in ways that challenge our understanding of what constitutes life and beauty on our planet. Volcanic ash creates natural pottery clay that has been treasured by artisans for millennia. The fine particles produced by volcanic eruptions often create clay deposits with unique properties that make them ideal for pottery, sculpture, and other ceramic arts. Volcanic clays typically contain mineral combinations that provide exceptional plasticity when wet and create strong, durable ceramics when fired. The natural chemistry of volcanic ash often eliminates the need for artificial additives, providing potters with clay that works beautifully straight from the earth. Some of the world's most prized pottery traditions have developed around volcanic clay deposits, with artisans passing down techniques for working with these special materials through countless generations. The mineral content of volcanic clay often creates unique colors and textures in finished pottery that cannot be replicated with non-volcanic materials. Modern ceramic artists seek out volcanic clay deposits for their exceptional working properties and the distinctive character they impart to finished pieces. The connection between volcanic destruction and artistic creation symbolizes the Earth's ability to transform catastrophic events into materials for human creativity and beauty. Some volcanic regions experience reverse seasons where winter brings blooming flowers. The thermal influence of underground volcanic activity can create microclimates so unique that they reverse normal seasonal patterns, with the warmest and most fertile conditions occurring during what would normally be the coldest months. These volcanic oases remain green and flowering throughout winter, while surrounding non-volcanic areas lie dormant under snow and ice. The constant geothermal heating provides perfect growing conditions for plants that would normally be dormant, creating gardens that seem to exist in perpetual spring regardless of calendar seasons. Some rare plant species have adapted specifically to these volcanic winter gardens, evolving to bloom and reproduce during months when most other plants are inactive. These reversed seasonal patterns create opportunities for year-round agriculture in regions where food production would normally be limited to summer months. The sight of flowers blooming in snow-covered volcanic valleys creates surreal landscapes that seem to belong more in fantasy than in the natural world. Yet they represent the Earth's remarkable ability to create life-sustaining conditions even in the most unlikely circumstances. Volcanic pumice becomes home to entire ecosystems that float across oceans. The lightweight, porous structure of volcanic pumice creates perfect habitat for marine organisms that colonize these floating rocks and travel with them across vast ocean distances. These pumice ecosystems can support complex communities including algae, small fish, crustaceans, and other marine life that find food and shelter in the rock's many cavities and crevices. As pumice rafts drift with ocean currents, they carry these traveling ecosystems to new locations where species may establish permanent populations on distant shores. The journey can last for months or years, during which time the floating communities evolve and adapt to their unique mobile environment. Some species found on remote volcanic islands may have arrived as passengers on these geological rafts, making pumice an important factor in oceanic biodiversity and species distribution. The gradual waterlogging and eventual sinking of pumice ensures that these traveling ecosystems eventually settle in new locations, potentially founding new populations in places they could never have reached by swimming or flying. Volcanic soil creates forests so lush they seem to pulse with their own green heartbeat. The exceptional fertility of weathered volcanic material supports plant growth of such abundance and vitality that volcanic forests often display shades and intensities of green that seem almost supernatural. These forests grow with remarkable speed and density, creating canopies so thick they filter sunlight into cathedral-like beams that illuminate the forest floor in shifting patterns of gold and emerald. The mineral richness of volcanic soil supports not just abundant plant growth, but also exceptional diversity, with volcanic forests often hosting more species per acre than any other forest type. The rapid decomposition of organic matter in mineral-rich volcanic soil creates a constant cycle of renewal that keeps these forests in a state of perpetual vitality and growth. Some volcanic forests grow so rapidly that visitors returning after just a few years find landscapes that have been completely transformed by new growth. The combination of rich soil, favorable climate, and the unique chemistry of volcanic minerals creates forest ecosystems that seem to embody the Earth's most creative and productive impulses. Ancient volcanic eruptions created natural time capsules that preserve entire prehistoric worlds. When massive volcanic events rapidly buried large areas, they sometimes created perfect preservation conditions that maintain detailed records of ancient ecosystems, complete with plants, animals, and environmental conditions exactly as they existed millions of years ago. These volcanic preservations are so complete that scientists can study ancient forests with leaves still attached to branches, flowers still showing their original colors, and insects still displaying intricate wing patterns. The rapid burial by volcanic ash prevents normal decay processes and creates fossilization conditions that maintain three-dimensional structure and even soft tissues that would normally disappear within days. Some volcanic preservations contain entire lake ecosystems with fish still in swimming positions, aquatic plants still rooted in lake sediments, and even delicate structures like spider webs preserved in perfect detail. These geological time capsules provide windows into ancient worlds that are more complete and detailed than any other type of fossil record, allowing scientists to reconstruct prehistoric environments with unprecedented accuracy and understand how ancient ecosystems functioned before human influence changed the world. Volcanic springs create natural spas that maintain perfect temperatures for centuries. In the quiet corners of volcanic landscapes, hot springs emerge from the earth like warm embraces that have been waiting patiently for thousands of years. These thermal oases maintain temperatures between 90 and 104 degrees Fahrenheit with remarkable consistency, heated by the same forces that built the mountains around them. The mineral content of these springs reads like a recipe for restoration, with dissolved sulfur, silica, magnesium, and dozens of trace elements that seem perfectly calibrated for human comfort. Ancient civilizations built entire cultures around these volcanic gifts, recognizing their power to heal both body and spirit. The Japanese have elevated the art of their malbathing to spiritual practice, while Icelandic communities have gathered around volcanic springs for over a millennium, finding that the warm, mineral-rich waters soothe ailments that resist other treatments. The springs often exist in settings of extraordinary beauty, nestled between steaming rocks and thriving vegetation that grows lush in the humid microclimate. Soaking in these natural pools while surrounded by volcanic peaks and watching steam rise into crisp mountain air creates experiences that feel both ancient and eternal, as if time itself slows down in the presence of the Earth's gentle warmth. Some volcanoes create their own snow that falls warm from the sky. In the most extraordinary atmospheric phenomenon our planet offers, Certain volcanic eruptions produce precipitation that looks like snow but carries the heat of its fiery origins. This volcanic snow forms when ash particles high in the eruption column combine with water vapor, creating flakes that drift down like winter precipitation but remain warm to the touch. The surreal experience of catching volcanic snowflakes that feel like gentle summer rain has been reported in tropical regions that have never experienced true winter, creating temporary wonderlands where the impossible becomes beautifully real. Children in these areas sometimes build snowmen from material that originated as molten rock deep within the earth, while adults marvel at the sight of palm trees dusted with what appears to be winter's touch. The volcanic snow often carries a faint mineral scent that distinguishes it from regular precipitation, and it typically melts quickly upon contact with the ground, leaving behind only the memory of its brief, magical presence. This phenomenon transforms familiar landscapes into scenes that seem borrowed from dreams, where seasons blend and the boundaries between fire and ice dissolve into something entirely new. Lava creates natural sculptures that seem carved by master artists. As molten rock flows and cools, surface tension and gravity collaborate to create forms that display mathematical beauty and artistic elegance that human sculptors spend lifetimes trying to achieve. These natural artworks range from delicate lace-like formations, where thin lava streams cooled in mid-flow, to massive twisted spires that rise from ancient flows like abstract monuments to the Earth's creativity. Some lava sculptures capture motion so perfectly they seem frozen in time, with ripples, waves, and spirals that preserve the exact moment when liquid rock surrendered to solid form. The cooling process happens slowly enough that natural forces can shape the cooling lava into forms that follow the same proportions found in seashells, galaxies, and other expressions of mathematical harmony in nature. These geological masterpieces change subtly over time as weathering softens their edges and plant life begins to colonize their surfaces, but their essential forms remain as testament to the Earth's artistic capabilities. Many cultures have recognized certain lava formations as sacred sites, seeing in their perfect curves and impossible balance the evidence of divine creativity, working through geological processes that transform destruction into beauty. Underground volcanic chambers host concerts that only the Earth can hear. Deep within volcanic systems, gas-filled cavities and chambers create natural musical instruments on a scale that dwarfs any human construction. When volcanic gases move through these underground spaces, they produce sounds that range from deep, organ-like tones to high, flute-like melodies that echo through miles of underground passages. The acoustics in these chambers are often perfect, with curved walls that focus and amplify sound while filtering out harsh frequencies, creating natural concert halls where the Earth performs symphonies that no human audience ever witnesses. Some volcanic regions experience underground music that can be heard faintly at the surface, where sensitive listeners detect the mountain's breathing transformed into gentle melodies that rise from vents and fissures. The pitch and rhythm of these volcanic concerts change with underground pressure variations, gas composition, and chamber size, creating musical performances that are unique to each volcanic system and impossible to replicate artificially. Local cultures sometimes incorporate knowledge of these underground sounds into their traditions, understanding that changes in the mountain's music can indicate shifts in volcanic activity deep below. Volcanic gardens grow plants that exist nowhere else on Earth, The unique chemistry and microclimate conditions around active volcanic vents create ecological niches, so specialized that entire plant species have evolved to thrive only in these extreme environments. These volcanic specialists often display remarkable adaptations, including leaves that can process sulfur compounds, root systems that extract nutrients from mineral-rich volcanic soil, and flowering patterns that synchronize with volcanic activity cycles. Some volcanic plants have developed the ability to thrive in soil temperatures that would kill most vegetation, while others have adapted to grow in the acidic conditions created by volcanic gases. The isolation of many volcanic environments has allowed these plant communities to evolve independently, creating botanical treasures that exist only on specific volcanic slopes, or in particular crater environments. These endemic species often display extraordinary beauty, with flowers that seem to capture the colors of lava and sunset, leaves that shimmer with metallic sheens, and growth patterns that mirror the geometric forms found in cooling volcanic rock. Conservation scientists study these unique plant communities as examples of evolution in action, understanding that each volcanic environment represents a natural laboratory where life experiments with new solutions to extreme challenges. Thermal caves maintain underground seasons that follow their own mysterious calendar. Deep within volcanic systems, chambers and passages experience temperature and humidity cycles that seem to follow patterns unrelated to surface seasons or weather. These underground climates can warm and cool in rhythms that span decades or centuries, creating subterranean seasons that unfold according to volcanic processes rather than solar cycles. Some thermal caves experience their warmest periods during surface winter, when increased underground activity heats the chambers, while others cool during summer months as changing pressure patterns alter gas flow and heat distribution. The air in these caves often carries seasonal scents that change with underground conditions, sometimes smelling of spring, flowers during periods of increased geothermal activity, or taking on the crisp clarity of mountain air when volcanic processes shift to different phases. These underground seasonal patterns create unique ecosystems where cave-dwelling creatures adapt their life cycles to the mountain's mysterious schedule rather than the familiar rhythm of surface seasons. Exploring these thermal caves during different phases of their underground seasons reveals environments that seem to exist in different climatic zones, all within the same geological space. Obsidian flows create natural mirrors that reflect perfect images of ancient skies. When volcanic glass forms under ideal conditions, it creates surfaces so smooth and reflective that they can preserve images like black mirrors frozen in stone. These natural mirrors often form in sheets and pools where lava cooled rapidly, creating reflective surfaces that can span acres and maintain their clarity for thousands of years. Ancient peoples discovered that these volcanic mirrors could be polished to perfection that exceeds modern manufacturing capabilities, creating reflective surfaces that seem to hold depth and mystery beyond their physical dimensions. Some obsidian flows create natural mirror lakes where the glass surface reflects surrounding peaks and skies with such clarity that the boundary between reality and reflection becomes beautifully ambiguous. The optical properties of volcanic glass allow these natural mirrors to capture and hold light in ways that create unique visual effects, with some surfaces seeming to glow with internal illumination even in dim conditions. These mirror-like volcanic formations become places of contemplation and wonder, where visitors can see themselves reflected against backdrops of the same volcanic forces that created the mirrors themselves. Volcanic mud pots create natural pottery wheels that spin for centuries. In areas where volcanic heat encounters clay-rich soil and groundwater, the earth creates its own pottery studios where mud bubbles and churns in circular patterns that mimic the motion of potter's wheels. These natural ceramics workshops operate continuously, with volcanic heat providing the energy to keep clay in constant sculptural motion. The mineral-rich mud in these volcanic studios often contains the perfect combination of materials for ceramic work, with silica, aluminum, and other compounds mixed in proportions that potters spend years trying to achieve artificially. Some mud pots maintain their spinning motion for decades or centuries, creating ever-changing sculptural forms as the heated clay rises, shapes itself, and settles back into new configurations. The colors of volcanic mud pots range from pure whites and grays to vibrant yellows, oranges, and reds, depending on the minerals present and the temperature of the underground heat source. These natural ceramic studios demonstrate the Earth's artistic impulses in their purest form, showing how geological forces can create beauty through processes that mirror human creativity, while operating on timescales that span generations. Hot spring terraces create staircases that climb toward volcanic heavens. Over thousands of years, mineral-rich water flowing from volcanic springs builds elaborate terraced formations that rise like natural staircases up mountainsides. These limestone and travertine terraces form as heated water deposits thin layers of dissolved minerals with each flow, gradually building platforms that can extend for miles up volcanic slopes. The terraces often fill with pools of crystal-clear thermal water, creating a series of natural baths that ascend the mountainside in perfect geometric progression. Each terrace pool maintains its own unique temperature and mineral composition, offering bathers a range of therapeutic experiences as they climb from pool to pool. The formations display colors that shift throughout the day as light reflects off the mineral deposits and thermal water, creating landscapes that seem to glow with internal illumination. Some terrace systems have been building for tens of thousands of years, creating geological monuments that represent the patient work of volcanic forces, transforming simple heated water into architectural masterpieces that rival any human construction. Sulfur gardens bloom with crystals that grow like yellow flowers. Around volcanic vents where sulfur-rich gases emerge from the earth, extraordinary crystal gardens develop where pure sulfur forms geometric blooms that resemble exotic flowers made of mineral sunshine. These sulfur formations grow in perfect crystalline structures that display the same mathematical beauty found in organic flowers, with petals, stems, and cluster formations that seem too deliberate to be purely geological. The bright yellow color of sulfur crystals creates gardens that glow like captured sunlight even on cloudy days, transforming otherwise stark volcanic landscapes into scenes of unexpected beauty. These crystal flowers continue growing as long as sulfur gases continue to emerge, creating gardens that evolve and change over time as new formations develop and older ones are weathered by wind and rain. The delicate nature of sulfur crystals means that these mineral gardens are ephemeral, constantly being destroyed and recreated in cycles that mirror the seasonal rhythms of organic gardens. The combination of geometric perfection and brilliant color makes sulfur crystal gardens some of the most photographed and celebrated features of volcanic landscapes. Volcanic valleys create wind patterns that compose aerial symphonies. The unique topography of calderas and volcanic valleys channels airflow in ways that create natural wind instruments on a massive scale. These geological formations act like enormous organ pipes, with different shaped valleys and ridges producing distinct tones and harmonies as air moves through them. The music created by volcanic wind patterns can carry for miles, creating soundscapes that change with weather conditions, time of day, and seasonal variations in air temperature and pressure. Some volcanic valleys produce such consistent and beautiful wind music that local communities have incorporated these natural symphonies into their cultural traditions, timing ceremonies, and celebrations to coincide with optimal acoustic conditions. The pitch and rhythm of volcanic wind music depend on factors including valley shape, surface roughness, vegetation patterns, and atmospheric conditions, creating compositions that are unique to each volcanic system and impossible to replicate elsewhere. These natural orchestras perform continuously, creating soundtracks for volcanic landscapes that enhance the already powerful visual impact of these remarkable geological formations. Geothermal pools create natural laboratories where life experiments with impossible chemistry. Around volcanic vents, pools of superheated, mineral-rich water support microorganisms that thrive in conditions that would be lethal to most life on Earth. These extremophile communities represent some of the most ancient forms of life. Organisms that may be similar to the first living things that appeared on our planet billions of years ago. The brilliant colors displayed by many hot springs come from these hardy bacteria and archaea, which create rainbow mats and streaks that paint geothermal features in shades that seem too vibrant to be natural. Each pool becomes a unique laboratory where life adapts to specific combinations of temperature, acidity, mineral content, and chemical composition, resulting in biological communities that exist nowhere else on Earth. Scientists study these geothermal ecosystems as windows into early life and as examples of how organisms might survive in extreme environments on other planets. The discovery of life thriving in these seemingly impossible conditions has revolutionized our understanding of the limits of biology and expanded our ideas about where life might exist in the universe. Volcanic glass creates natural lenses that focus sunlight into healing beams. When obsidian forms in specific curved shapes, it can act as natural magnifying glasses and focusing lenses that concentrate sunlight with remarkable precision. These geological optics can create focused beams of light intense enough to start fires or concentrated enough to create therapeutic warming effects that ancient peoples may have used for healing purposes. Some volcanic glass formations create multiple lenses that work together like compound optical systems, focusing and redirecting light in complex patterns that create natural light shows on surrounding rock faces. The optical clarity of volcanic glass often exceeds that of manufactured lenses, creating focusing effects that seem impossibly perfect for accidental geological formations. These natural lenses sometimes create rainbow effects as they split sunlight into its component colors, painting volcanic landscapes with spectral displays that change throughout the day as the sun moves across the sky. The discovery of these natural optical systems in volcanic regions has inspired research into how ancient peoples might have used geological formations as tools and technologies long before the development of manufactured optics. Lava tubes preserve underground rivers that flow in eternal darkness. Within the hollow spaces left by ancient lava flows, underground waterways create hidden river systems that have flowed in complete darkness for thousands of years. These subterranean streams often maintain constant temperatures and flow rates, creating aquatic environments that exist completely separate from surface weather and seasonal variations. The water in these underground rivers is typically crystal clear, filtered by miles of volcanic rock and often carrying dissolved minerals that give it unique properties and sometimes unusual colors that glow faintly in artificial light. Fish and other aquatic life that inhabit these dark rivers have evolved remarkable adaptations, including enhanced sensory systems, bioluminescence, and feeding strategies that work in environments where sight is useless. Some underground volcanic rivers emerge at hot springs or coastal areas miles from their origins, carrying their subterranean journey's mineral signature to the surface world. The sound of flowing water echoes through these dark passages, creating natural music that has played continuously for millennia, heard only by the occasional explorer brave enough to venture into these hidden waterways that connect the underground and surface worlds. Pumice formations create floating gardens that drift across volcanic lakes. In crater lakes and volcanic ponds, accumulated pumice often forms floating islands that support entire miniature ecosystems, drifting slowly across the water's surface. These mobile gardens host plants that have adapted to life on unstable, mineral-rich platforms that move with wind and currents. The pumice provides excellent drainage while retaining enough moisture to support plant growth, creating perfect growing conditions for species that thrive in the unique environment of floating volcanic gardens. Birds often nest on these drifting islands, raising their young on platforms that slowly migrate around the lake throughout the breeding season. The movement of floating pumice gardens helps distribute seeds and nutrients around volcanic lakes, creating dynamic ecosystems where plant and animal communities constantly shift and change. Some pumice islands become large enough to support trees and shrubs, creating floating forests that provide habitat for numerous species, while drifting like biological ships across the calm waters of volcanic lakes. These mobile ecosystems demonstrate nature's ability to create beauty and biological diversity even on the most unstable foundations. Ancient volcanic ash creates time-release fertilizer systems that nourish plants for centuries. When volcanic eruptions deposit layers of ash across landscapes, they create natural fertilizer banks that slowly release nutrients over hundreds or thousands of years. The ash weathers gradually, providing a steady supply of minerals that plants can access as their needs change and as environmental conditions fluctuate. This geological time-release system ensures that volcanic soils remain fertile far longer than other soil types, supporting agriculture and natural plant communities with remarkable consistency across generations. The slow breakdown of volcanic ash creates soil chemistry that changes subtly over time, providing different nutrient profiles as the ash weathers through various stages of decomposition. Some agricultural regions built on ancient volcanic deposits have maintained exceptional fertility for thousands of years without requiring artificial fertilizers, sustained entirely by the gradual release of minerals from prehistoric eruptions. These natural fertilizer systems demonstrate the Earth's ability to transform catastrophic events into long-term benefits that support life for countless generations. After the original volcanic activity has ended, volcanic caves create natural wine cellars with perfect aging conditions. The constant cool temperatures, stable humidity, and unique mineral environment of lava tube caves provide ideal conditions for aging wines, cheeses, and other foods that benefit from controlled environments. These natural cellars maintain temperatures between 50 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, with humidity levels that prevent excessive evaporation while allowing proper aging processes to occur. The mineral content of volcanic cave air often imparts subtle flavors to aged products, creating taste profiles that cannot be replicated in artificial storage environments. Some of the world's most prized aged foods and beverages have been produced in volcanic caves, where the combination of stable conditions and mineral-rich air creates perfect aging environments. The natural air circulation in lava tubes provides gentle ventilation that prevents stagnation while maintaining optimal humidity, creating conditions that commercial storage facilities struggle to duplicate. These geological sell no external energy while providing superior control, offering sustainable storage solutions that require results to most artificial systems. Ours represent thousands of years of natural climated with water, creates perfect conditions for studying atmospheric. Crater lakes create natural observatories where the Earth watches itself. The bowl shape of volcanic calderas fill phenomena, with the still water surfaces acting as natural mirrors that reflect sky conditions with extraordinary clarity. These volcanic observatories often display unique optical effects as the mineral-rich water interacts with sunlight and atmospheric moisture, creating natural laboratories for understanding light, weather, and atmospheric physics. The isolation and elevation of many crater lakes create viewing conditions that rival the best astronomical observatories, with clear air and minimal light pollution that allow perfect observation of celestial events. Some crater lakes freeze in patterns that create natural lenses and prisms, focusing and redirecting light in ways that create spectacular optical displays visible only from specific viewing angles. The thermal properties of these lakes often create unique weather patterns that can be studied as miniature climate systems, providing insights into larger atmospheric processes. These natural observatories represent the Earth's ability to create perfect conditions for understanding itself, offering viewing platforms and optical systems that rival any human construction. Volcanic minerals create natural time capsules that preserve ancient atmospheres. Deep within cooling lava flows, tiny bubbles of gas become trapped and sealed, creating perfect samples of the atmosphere that existed millions of years ago. These geological capsules maintain their contents with such precision that scientists can analyze the exact composition of ancient air, understanding how our planet's atmosphere has changed over vast stretches of time. The bubbles preserve not just major gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide, but also trace elements and compounds that reveal details about ancient climates, volcanic activity levels, and even biological processes that were occurring when the lava first cooled. Some of these atmospheric time capsules contain air from periods when the Earth was dramatically different from today, offering glimpses into worlds where different combinations of gases supported different forms of life. The discovery of these preserved atmosphere samples has revolutionized our understanding of how the Earth's air has evolved, providing direct evidence of environmental conditions that existed long before any living thing could record them. Thermal vents create underwater oases where impossible life thrives in crushing darkness. Miles beneath the ocean's surface, where sunlight has never penetrated and pressure would instantly destroy most surface creatures, volcanic heat creates islands of life in the deep sea desert. These hydrothermal gardens support ecosystems that operate on principles entirely different from surface life, with bacteria that convert chemicals rather than sunlight into energy, forming the foundation of food webs that include creatures found nowhere else on Earth. Giant tube worms sway in the heated currents like underwater wheat, while ghostly white crabs scuttle across mineral formations that build themselves from the interaction of superheated water and icy ocean depths. The water around these vents can exceed the boiling point, yet just inches away, the deep ocean maintains its near-freezing temperature, creating thermal boundaries where different worlds meet. These volcanic oases may represent some of the oldest continuously operating ecosystems on Earth, communities that have thrived in isolation for billions of years, while the surface world changed dramatically above them. Sleeping volcanoes create perfect natural gardens in their peaceful craters. When volcanic activity pauses for centuries or millennia, the rich soil and protected environment within craters often transforms into botanical wonderlands that seem designed for contemplation and beauty. These crater gardens benefit from the unique microclimate created by their bowl shape, which traps moisture and creates temperature conditions that differ from surrounding areas. The walls of volcanic craters often display distinct vegetation zones, with different plant communities adapted to varying conditions from rim to floor, creating natural terraces of diverse ecosystems within a single formation. Some crater gardens maintain their own weather systems, with morning mists that rise from the depths and after noon rains that fall only within the crater walls, creating isolated worlds where rare and endemic species evolve in perfect seclusion. The acoustics within these natural amphitheaters often enhance the sounds of wind through leaves and bird songs, creating spaces where every natural sound seems amplified and clarified. These volcanic gardens represent the Earth's gentlest face, places where destructive forces have been transformed into nurturing environments that support life in its most peaceful and beautiful forms. Volcanic glass creates natural artworks that capture light like frozen fire. When molten rock cools so rapidly that crystals cannot form, it creates obsidian surfaces that seem to hold light within their dark depths, reflecting images with clarity that exceeds manufactured mirrors, while maintaining an internal glow that suggests hidden fire. These natural glass formations often display patterns and colors that seem deliberately artistic, with swirls, bands, and inclusions that create abstract compositions of extraordinary beauty. The optical properties of volcanic glass allow it to split light into rainbow spectrums, creating prismatic effects that paint surrounding rocks with colored light that changes throughout the day. Some obsidian flows create vast sheets of natural stained glass that seem to glow with their own illumination, transforming entire volcanic landscapes into galleries where geology becomes art. The surface of volcanic glass can be so perfectly smooth that it creates mirrors capable of reflecting stars with clarity that ancient peoples interpreted as windows into spiritual realms. These glass formations continue to inspire human artists and craftspeople who recognize in volcanic glass a standard of beauty and optical perfection that technology still struggles to match. Hidden volcanic springs create secret healing sanctuaries in remote wilderness areas. Tucked away in valleys and canyons throughout volcanic regions, thermal springs emerge like gifts from the Earth's heart, often surrounded by lush vegetation that creates private natural spas far from human development. These hidden sanctuaries often support unique plant communities that thrive in the warm, humid microclimates, creating tropical oases even in temperate or cold regions. The mineral content of these remote springs varies dramatically, with some containing dissolved elements that create water with therapeutic properties recognized by indigenous peoples for thousands of years. Wildlife often discovers these hidden springs before humans do, with animals traveling great distances to drink the mineral-rich water or bathe in the therapeutic warmth. The isolation of these secret spies rings preserve their pristine condition while creating opportunities for profound solitude and connection with natural healing processes that have operated unchanged for millennia. These geological sanctuaries remind us that the Earth continues to offer gifts of healing and restoration in places where patience and exploration reveal treasures that exist far from the busy surface world. Volcanic caves host underground concerts where the Earth itself becomes a musical instrument. The unique acoustics created by lava tube systems transform these underground spaces into natural concert halls, where even whispered words can carry clearly for hundreds of yards. The curved walls and specific dimensions of these volcanic chambers create sound environments that enhance certain frequencies while filtering others, producing natural reverb and echo effects that rival the best architectural acoustic designs. Some caves produce their own music as air currents move through openings and passages, creating tones that range from deep organ notes to high flute-like melodies that seem to emerge from the mountain's breathing. The temperature and humidity conditions in volcanic caves create perfect environments for preserving sound, with some chambers maintaining acoustic properties that remain consistent for thousands of years. Musicians who perform in these natural concert halls often describe the experience as transformative, feeling that the Earth itself participates in the music by adding resonance and depth that cannot be achieved in surface venues. These underground acoustic spaces represent collaboration between geological forces and human creativity, places where the Earth's architecture enhances artistic expression in ways that seem almost intentionally designed for music. Floating volcanic rocks become traveling nurseries that carry life across vast oceanic distances. When explosive eruptions create massive amounts of pumice, these lightweight volcanic rocks form floating islands that become mobile ecosystems, carrying plants, animals, and marine life on journeys that can span entire ocean basins. The porous structure of pumice provides perfect habitat for colonizing organisms, while its buoyancy ensures that these biological rafts can travel for months or years before becoming waterlogged and sinking. Some pumice rafts become large enough to be visible from space, creating temporary islands that support complex food webs during their oceanic voyages. The organisms that colonize these floating volcanic rocks often include species that could never cross ocean barriers by swimming or flying, making pumice rafts crucial dispersal mechanisms that have shaped the distribution of life on oceanic islands. These traveling ecosystems demonstrate the Earth's creativity in connecting distant places and supporting life's expansion into new territories through geological processes that seem designed to facilitate biological exploration and colonization. And so, our gentle journey through the volcanic wonders of our world draws to a quiet close. We've wandered together through landscapes where fire becomes glass, where destruction nurtures gardens, and where the Earth's ancient heartbeat creates symphonies that echo through both darkness and light. From singing sands to floating gardens, from crystal caves to thermal sanctuaries, Each volcanic gift reminds us that our planet is both artist and architect, composer and sculptor, creating beauty through forces that span millennia. Perhaps some of these peaceful revelations will drift with you into sleep tonight, carrying images of rainbow springs, underground rivers, and mountains that breathe music into starlit skies. Or maybe they've simply added to the quiet wonder that surrounds us always, reminders that beneath our feet, the earth continues its patient work of transformation, turning ancient fires into tomorrow's gardens. If you've enjoyed this nighttime exploration of our planet's gentle giants, you might find yourself drawn to our other journeys through the natural world's most soothing mysteries. And if you're still awake, you can continue to the next video when you're ready. But for now, there's nothing left to discover tonight, nothing more to understand. Just the warm knowledge that volcanoes, those seeming symbols of destruction, are actually among the Earth's greatest creators, patiently building islands, nurturing soils, and crafting beauty from the very heart of stone. Sleep well and dream of mountains that sing lullabies to the stars.